Audrey prioritized UNICEF humanitarian work, finding fulfillment in broader causes. In their dying years, two of Hollywood's most beloved stars had a heartbreaking conversation that was kept secret for decades. Audrey Hepburn and Gregory Peck's final moments depict a love story that transcended the silver screen, a kinship established in Roman cobblestones, and a friendship that defied time. Tonight, we reveal the unspoken truth. Hollywood was poised to see cinematic greatness in 1953. Many could not have foreseen the enchantment that would develop when William Wyler put an unknown Belgian ballet dancer, Audrey Hepburn, opposite Gregory Peck in Roman Holiday. From the initial screen test, something extraordinary happened. Chemistry so pure and seamless it looked like the film gods interfered. At 36, veteran actor Gregory Peck was hesitant to collaborate with a novice. He anticipated Paramount to pair him with Elizabeth Taylor or Gene Simmons. Everything changed when he viewed Audrey's screen test. Years later, he admitted he knew she would be terrific immediately. In a groundbreaking move, Peck demanded that Audrey be given equal billing, defining their professional relationship and their lifelong love and adoration. Roman streets became their playground, and when Princess and Joe Bradley fell in love on screen, the actors too fell in love. Both were committed to their partners, but it was deeper and longer lasting. Two kindred spirits who knew fame's weight, stardom's loneliness, and life's precious gift, then connected in an illusionary universe. Little did the world know that this wonderful beginning would set the stage for a friendship that would endure victory and tragedy. Through the greatest highs and worst lows till death separated them. Audrey and Gregory's friendship began before Roman Holiday's cameras stopped rolling. Professional adoration turned into a genuine, ego-free bond between two megastars, which Hollywood rarely sees. Their relationship stood out in a competitive, backstabbing industry, a true connection that overcame show business cynicism. Audrey brightened Gregory's sometimes dark environment while he protected and mentored her. He was impressed by her humility despite her spectacular climb to popularity, how she would thank every crew member, remember their names, and treat everyone equally regardless of status. In a compromise-prone industry, she was drawn to his quiet firmness, morality, and integrity. Years later, Gregory's personal effects revealed their deep relationship through their letters. Dear Gregory, one letter started, "You are the only person in this wild world who understands our weight. I appreciate your support when celebrity threatens to carry me away." He called her my lovely girl and sent pressed flowers from his garden in his replies. A gesture that expressed their soft romanticism as souls who had found their perfect match, not as lovers. Audrey and Gregory laughed off Hollywood gossip attempts to set them up. Their shared bond was worth more than any brief romance. This confluence of brains, hearts, and spirits would become one of Hollywood's most lasting friendships. Audrey and Gregory's rose to new heights in the 1950s. She won an Oscar for Roman Holiday and became a fashion symbol and popular actress. He continued to be one of Hollywood's most renowned leading men, playing parts that showed his moral complexity and dominating screen presence. They kept in touch despite their busy schedules and separate careers. They would have quiet dinners at modest restaurants away from Hollywood to discuss their anxieties, dreams, and the unique burden of being public people in a more invasive world. Gregory said Audrey's presence could instantly soothe his pre-performance anxiety, while she said he taught her how to navigate Hollywood politics. For their peers, their camaraderie was legendary. Cary Grant said Audrey and Gregory were like two old spirits who had discovered each other. Elizabeth Taylor, who rarely praised other actors, said Audrey's face would light up when Gregory entered a room and that his protective instincts were lovely. They created decades-long rituals throughout this golden age. Every year on Roman Holiday's release anniversary, they exchanged humble, personal presents. Knowing her love of literature, Gregory sent her books of poetry, and she sent him little watercolor paintings she made while traveling, knowing his love of art. These golden years were filled with laughter, support, and soul-sustaining companionship. Storms are inevitable. Audrey and Gregory reached Hollywood's pinnacle by the 1960s. But success cost a lot. The scrutiny, pressure to maintain their images, and isolation of megafame took their toll. Their connection became even more important as a safe space to be themselves without criticism or pretense. Audrey felt pressure to be youthful and beautiful in a youth-obsessed industry. She told Gregory about her rising worry, perfectionism, and inadequacies that no amount of fame could eradicate. He struggled with Hollywood's morality and the pressure to be the nice man, the hero, when he felt lost and uncertain. Mutual friends recall powerfully honest chats during this time. They talked about their worries about aging in the spotlight, their kids growing up in the shadow of famous parents, and their desire to live more authentically. Gregory subsequently said Audrey was the only one who understood pedestal loneliness. He informed a close buddy, "Everyone sees the glitter. Audrey knows about the nights you lie awake wondering if anyone knows you beyond the myths." Their friendship showed its true value during these darker circumstances, not just as a source of comfort during good times, but as a lifeline during the storms that success brings. Audrey and Gregory sometimes worked on different continents, filming in exotic settings or meeting professional duties. But distance never weakened their bond. The personal art of letter writing reinforced it. Literary experts called their 4-decade correspondence one of the most beautiful friendships ever. In her distinctive flowing handwriting, Audrey wrote fascinating descriptions of her travels, reflections on her roles, and insights about life and love. Her paintings of mountain sunrises and tranquil garden moments were sent to Gregory from the Swiss countryside, where she eventually settled. She sent him pressed flowers, sketches, and recipes she thought he would like. Gregory wrote more formal but warm letters from film locations worldwide and his beloved California home. He wrote about his reading, the changing world, and his gratitude for their companionship. He often sent candid photos of his garden, dogs, and a sunset that reminded him of their chats in Rome in his letters. Their unadorned correspondence was remarkable. Two actors didn't construct these messages to manage their images. These were the honest feelings of two people who had found refuge in one another from fame. Audrey sent a touching letter in the late 1970s about her desire to stop acting. "Dear Gregory, I want a simpler life. Oh, instead of box office sales, measured in actual personal connections. You have always reminded me that such connections are possible in our constructed world." In the 1970s and 1980s, Audrey and Gregory slowed down in Hollywood. Gregory still acted occasionally, but he chose to spend more time with family and hobbies. During this time, their friendship focused less on Hollywood's whirlwind and more on meaning and legacy. They discussed how they wanted their life to reflect beyond their movies. They discussed the distinction between public acclaim and genuine human connection, between being praised and truly loved. Their friends often noted how their friendship deepened with age. In a world that preferred mythology over fact, they were each other's witnesses to a full life. Together, decades vanished. They would reunite as the young woman and slightly older man who had explored Rome's streets, learning they were kindred spirits. Gregory often talked about how Audrey's humanitarian endeavors motivated him to use his fame for good. She reminded him of the responsibilities of their position and influence by aiding youngsters worldwide. She said he taught her that power comes from authenticity and compassion, not perfection. "We deeply respected their paths and who they became during this time of friendship." Gregory developed cardiac troubles in the late 1980s, a reminder of mortality. Death haunted their decades-long friendship for the first time. Although she was busy with UNICEF, Audrey became even more protective of their relationship, keeping in touch regularly. Their chats gained urgency and depth. They spoke up about their worries, regrets, and what they would change. Gregory worried about being remembered simply as an actor when he thought his greatest accomplishments were as a father, friend, and moral person. Audrey worried about spending too much time in the public eye when she treasured quiet time with loved ones. Not morbid or depressing topics. Instead, they had the clarity of valuable time. They discussed how their friendship had improved their lives, how they had helped each other navigate fame, and how grateful they were to have met in that Roman cafe all those years ago. A mutual friend who witnessed part of one moving exchange explained what they hoped people would remember about them. Nobody mentioned their movies or popularity. Instead, they talked about kindness, dignity, and their privilege to offer joy to others. Neither knew that time was running out faster than expected. In 1992, the unthinkable happened. Audrey, the epitome of elegance and vitality, began having unsettling symptoms she initially disregarded as weariness from her UNICEF work. Finally receiving the diagnosis was heartbreaking: a rare, advanced abdominal cancer. Audrey first approached this problem with the same quiet dignity she had always had. She rarely disclosed her diagnosis, preferring to continue her charitable efforts without pity or public attention. As her situation worsened, she had to tell her loved ones, including Gregory. One of Gregory's most devastating moments was the call when she told him about her cancer. "My lovely girl is facing the greatest battle of her life," he wrote in his diary, discovered years later. "I feel helpless to protect her for the first time in our friendship." All I can do is love her through this darkness. Gregory's response to Audrey's diagnosis revealed the depth of their connection. Despite his own health issues, he immediately made plans to visit her, determined to be by her side during her treatment. Their conversations during this period, conducted mostly by phone due to the geographical distance and her weakening condition, took on an intensity and poignancy that would define their final months together. Audrey later told close friends that Gregory's unwavering support during her illness was one of the greatest gifts of her life. His ability to make her laugh even in her darkest moments, his refusal to treat her as fragile or pitiable, and his constant reminders of the joy and beauty she had brought to the world became a source of strength that sustained her through the most difficult fight of her life. As 1992 drew to a close, both Audrey and Gregory understood that their time together was becoming precious in ways they had never imagined. Her cancer was progressing despite treatment, and his own heart condition was worsening under the stress of watching his dearest friend suffer. Yet rather than being consumed by despair, they chose to use their remaining time to express everything they had always felt, but perhaps never fully articulated. Their phone conversations became longer and more frequent, filled with reminiscences about their shared history and declarations of love and gratitude that they had previously expressed more subtly. Gregory later told his son that these conversations were among the most meaningful of his life, not because they were saying goodbye, but because they were finally saying everything they had always wanted to say. Audrey, even as her physical strength diminished, seemed to find energy for these conversations that she couldn't muster from much else. Friends noticed that her voice would become stronger and more animated whenever she spoke to or about Gregory. It was as if their connection provided her with a lifeline to the person she had always been beneath the illness. During this period, they began making plans that they both secretly knew might never come to fruition. A quiet reunion in Switzerland. A simple dinner where they could hold hands and watch the sun set. A chance to sit together in comfortable silence like the old friends they had always been. These plans gave them hope and purpose. Even as the medical reality suggested, time was running out. The urgency of this period was captured in a letter Gregory wrote to a mutual friend. I feel as though Audrey and I are racing against time to say everything we need to say to each other. Yet somehow I think we've been saying it all along through 40 years of friendship. Now we're just making sure there can be no doubt.